In Dearborn, so I was raised with not going to Dearborn.
The relationship to Detroit and the suburbs itself is that whole mentality. Detroit City is 85% black. And the surrounding suburbs is 85% white. So again, the reality when the sun goes down, there's always a possibility that you get lynched. So these are so the word on the street is that's the mentality that we all. Just recently a brother got killed at Northland.
That's right.
Northland Mall.
Yeah, that's what you brought up.
So again,
where's Northland?
Northland is in a black suburb.
One block outside Detroit
on 8 Mile.
But even though some of these cities are black people moving in, the same norm is police force is still predominantly white, whether actual police or plain cops or whatever, which maintains what you allude to this whole
every 28 hours.
White supremacist mindset. So the word on the street for many of us know if you get caught across 8 Mile, there's a possibility of some harassment, some extreme lynching.
That's right.
And 8 Mile mean anywhere outside the city.
Outside Detroit. That's
even 8 miles to the north, but you can go to the south.
We're still calling it.
Still 8 miles.
Still calling it.
You're right. It's
because the concept is 8
right
miles.
now, Grosse Pointe, that artificial barrier, that's only since you've been here. Ain't even been a week. They've been talking about that on the this farmers market barrier to block Grosse Pointe from Detroit.
That's right.
And they saying it's not like that since it's been a little like for real in the blocking the street.
And that was another sundown town.
So I mean it's clear we one of the most racially polarized regions. You know what I'm saying? Period. Detroit is is the bedrock of the state of Michigan.
Right.
It's on international waters. 67 they fled. Because after the second great, rebellion. And it ain't been right, since, because when the population left, the companies left. The companies left, the jobs, the job force. The reason we left the South came here in the first place. The jobs vanished, hence the communities began to deteriorate. You no longer had a tax base. The stores that exist here now, it's sustained off bridge cards. If you really, we talk about the welfare state or, community, the greatest beneficiary of is the grocery stores. Because they get the bridge card ultimately, and they profit from the welfare system. But, we the ones who get villainized for, in the state of affairs when, we trace all the way back to when we were brought here against our will with nothing, freed from bondage with nothing, and we still, lack them assets that allow us to be self-determinant, and we still haven't figured out how to extract ourselves, from this system and become truly self-determinant. And that's what's critical, because even as we had Coleman Young and people saying his praise been mayor for 20 years, but that's when Detroit experienced his great decline, not because of him. But in spite of, it was because he wouldn't kiss their butt. So they said, we out of here. He's not going to be our lapdog. We out of here.
Right.
We can build in Southfield, Northwestern Highway.
They would rather do all of that. They would rather do all of that.
They're not here. And the same thing with the re-emerging business, like downtown and Dan Gilbert. Dan Gilbert brought the hood with him. He brought his whole community. Downtown looked like Chicago. It doesn't look like downtown 2 years ago. Downtown is not the same. It's very but they down there playing basketball for lunchtime. The sandboxes in the middle of the street. They finna have I got some banners. They finna do a beach party on Belle Isle with liquor, beer, all this stuff. First time I've ever heard of anything at this level. It's white folks.
Even on the ad, it's all white people on the ad, the Belle Isle ad.
I didn't even saw the ad. I didn't know about it yesterday.
On the ad, it's all. So they not even.
Well, they were talking about.
Slide. They even trying to be.
About the water crisis, and behind the water crisis, the crisis of Detroit. And then the New York Times talks about how Detroit is coming back, but they don't interview no black folks or no black businesses.
No,
which is really not surprising because they ain't talking about y'all.
That's right.
Actually,
I knew that, and I want to say
it's something grander, it's more sinister. That's taking place slowly.
Right.
And I see. Just the police crime. I actually see more police out here than I've ever seen since I've lived in Detroit.
More state police.
I ain't talking about. I'm just talking about. I see them new cars everywhere I go.
Yeah, because the white folks coming back.
They doing more of those stings on certain strips.
White
Like
people have a relationship
they
with law
were doing a
enforcement.
sting, a criminal sting that day. They was just
That we don't
flagging
have.
people
That's
for
right.
no reason. Talking about they 7 mile crackdown.
That's exactly right.
But
I didn't know what that was.
The
Remember
rise of
when we
law
saw a man
enforcement
with
coincides
guns on
with
it.
policing black bodies.
That's
So
right.
of course white people have a different relationship
That's right.
than we do. So yeah, the white folks leave, the city declines. White folks decide to come back. What's the first thing that happens? Increase law enforcement presence.
Right.
Just like in downtown Los Angeles, y'all have probably seen or heard about Skid Row in downtown Los Angeles. It's still a mess, but it has been depopulated because the police came through sweeping people out of there for more development.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. So you know they created basically a whole other police force, the Detroit One, something of that nature. They're all Wayne County Sheriff, State Police.
Creek along. They got their own police downtown.
Right, so all these
Rock security. Rock security. That's the name.
have operated up under
Private armies. They're basically private armies.
Right, in support of the acceleration of white people, the gentrifiers come in, creating or protecting that interest.
Protecting that interest.
That's what it's about.
Protecting that interest.
Exactly.
Where's the protection for black people? That's
See,
my
but
question.
we know, all right, we don't, and we haven't developed our army. Marcus Garvey asked that question, you know what I'm saying, many years ago, and we still haven't answered it. You know, the Black Panthers, you know, made a strong effort at doing it, you know what I'm saying, but at some juncture, we fell back and just watched them get decimated instead of, you know what I'm saying, joining their ranks or supporting what they was doing. And we find ourselves where we are today, protecting ourselves from one another. Because now we're desperate and don't know what to do in the face of, you know what I'm saying, the onslaught, because we don't even understand the onslaught.
Yeah.
We don't even know that it's only a matter of time for these young brothers gonna find out who got the money and who cause they ain't robbing them. We ain't saw one incident yet on the news of some innocent, you know what I'm saying, white person just being, you know what I'm saying, molested by some criminal thugs. It ain't happened yet, but it's a matter of time. It might be before the end of the summer because these people hungry. They starving. It's only a matter of time somebody realize they might have more, even though they may not. They might have nothing but plastic in their pocket. But you know what? Most of the people they rob now ain't got nothing in their pocket. But they ain't stopping them. Because they hungry and they desperate. When you force in the corner, you do those things because you can't think clearly.
Yeah, right. And that's also why the increased law enforcement presence.
Yeah.
You know, they talk about all the time that capitalism breeds crime. Well, that ought to give you a clue right there. Why does it breed crime? Why does it create crime?
It fosters that division, those class divisions, you know, accelerating, you know what I'm saying, the widening between the haves and the have-nots. And, you know, and I don't think, there's no such thing as closing that gap. That's why they always talk about, politicians, all the pundits, talk about the middle class. The middle class. And, of course, you don't have to speak for the upper class or the ruling class, the capitalist class, because they well taken care of. They can afford everything they need. The middle class, but then you figure about this big sprawling, you know what I'm saying, other class, or it's a bunch of classes actually, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying, they get totally ignored. So America becomes all about this middle group. You know, this middle group that, you know, they trying to keep hanging on to the aspirations of the ruling class. As long as they hanging on to what the ruling class holds out as possible, these false beliefs of, you know what I'm saying, maybe someday I can drive a Maybach or a Bugatti. You know what I'm saying, maybe one day I'll wake up, you know what I'm saying, but we still hitting the casinos, we still playing a lot, we still chancing, you know what I'm saying, on that day of, you know what I'm saying, our come up. Yeah. But the reality is, you know what I'm saying, capitalism, it's a greedy, you know what I'm saying, merciless game that, you know, we losing because we don't understand the rules.
You know, but also to your response, you talked about the desperation that exists in our community and the possibility of the hurt that can come out of whether it's a white person or a black person.
Oh, right.
But I look at us, the hyenas on us to stop that.
I totally agree.
And so, because at the end of the day, even it's justified in some way of that young brother, young sister doing that act. It as you talked about, it exposes all of us at the end of the day, which increases the police brutality to come in and treat us all as niggers at the end of the day. So, getting back to like many of us in this small little circle who have some level of ideological grounding, political awareness, how do we strengthen that? And again, historically, we know where we come from, the movements, how do we reemerge with something that can create a vehicle for young people as well as people in the community period to not continue to bathe in this self-suicide, where it hurts us all at the end of the day. So again, if we see the folks out there who are going to commit suicide act, that's on us.
We got to start being more self-sufficient. You know, one of the things that Du Bois, before he left and went to Ghana, just gave up. He was a committed integrationist, but he talked about the fact that black people are going to need to practice some type of segregation.
Yes, they did.
Self-segregation. We're going to need to close ourselves off and strengthen ourselves internally. Now, I'm not saying that we're doing that to integrate. I'm saying we need to do that for our protection and our survival. And, you know, because I've known this sister for years, you know, who's in the thick of putting her hands in the dirt and, you know, feeding yourself. You know, they're talking about urban gardens in Los Angeles now too, but y'all got some stuff going on here that is really amazing. And every time we drive around, what do I talk about? All this land y'all got. I just see curves in LA, in California. Every time I look around, I just a green field. And y'all could be, all of Detroit hunger could probably be
wiped out.
Gone.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, but folk got an aversion to working in the ground, so once they get over that. But we got to be that type of community that is fostered from people working together in community, of being self-sufficient. You know, the whole thing about the cooperative movement, which they were talking about in Jackson recently, Cooperation Jackson. Black people don't have to be more cooperative with one another. Because that's the only way we're going to survive. But, you know, until we realize or come to the realization that we're under attack and we need survival, you know, that's where the educational and the propaganda campaign comes in. You know, we got to reach our people in a way that they understand what we're facing. And that's always the hardest part, you know. That's always the hardest part.